Hey, eat your food. Eat your food. Gotta get bigger, right? Hey, Mom, you ready to do this?
Okay.
All right. You ready?
Yeah.
All right. I'll get.
Andy decided to go to sleep right now.
Perfect. I'm gonna get in the position.
This one's almost closed. That one still has a bit to go. Okay. Just a little bit of, not pus, just oozing a little bit. Kind of tried to figure out what was the best to do to, at first I was removing a lot of pus. A lot of pus. And then, see, it's still healing in there.
I got lucky. I didn't feel that way initially, but I almost think this was tough to go through, very painful, but for the long run, permanent damage wise, I'll be back. I'm gonna have some nasty scars and some bad stories and bad memories, but this will heal, and that's that part of it. I feel fortunate. I started bodybuilding when I was about 22 years old. Started competing naturally, and then decided I wanted to make a run at being the best bodybuilder I could be. I remember back then how I used to think about myself. I thought I was little. I thought I wasn't ripped. I thought I sucked. I looked great. But back then, just the self-hate was so intense that I wouldn't let myself enjoy it. I couldn't see it. It wasn't good enough. I was ashamed. I wouldn't quit because, that's where Bigorexia locks you in, and it's like I got to keep this going. I don't want to lose my body. It took me almost dying to stop and go, hey, this isn't worth it. Being big is not worth dying at 50, 60. That's why I had to quit. I have to quit or I'm gonna die.
Jeff, what's going on, man?
How's it going?
Good to see you, man.
Good to see you.
Come on right in.
All right.
How you been, man?
Been all right.
Excellent.
Busy.
I know it. Come on back.
Working.
Yeah. Come on in, man.
All right.
So, we saw you last week for the initial history and physical exam. So the good news is that you have no coronary artery disease. So the arterial bed has no plaque. There's no disease in there. That's one aspect that's good news. This is the representation, right? So this is disease, and this is yours. You have no plaque. But we did an echocardiogram, so you have some heart failure. So I know we'll discuss how that came about and where we are and how do we remedy this. We'll be working with... My name is Dr. Thomas O'Connor. I'm a board-certified internist, and I've been studying the effects of anabolic steroids on men for about 15 years now. Bigorexia, it's mainly men. It's the reverse anorexia, right? Bigorexia. These are men that feel poorly about themselves and their body image. They will start lifting weights. They'll change their whole behavior and their life. They'll orient everything around the gym.
Body dysmorphic disorder is a psychiatric disorder in which individuals have a pretty massive distortion around their body image, often seeing themselves in a way that's vastly different than how they objectively look. They see themselves as looking too skinny, too scrawny, not muscular enough, and they really fear losing size. These are individuals that might avoid going out in public. They're not the people that are taking off their shirts for fear that people will think that they look too small.
Bigorexia if you look at it academically, falls under the subset of an obsessive compulsive diagnosis of body dysmorphia. Someone is ill because they have compulsions. They're obsessive and compulsive. And you know, some of this stuff is positive. And then they cross that line. They start doing anabolic steroids.
I think that's the thing about bigorexia is it can lead to dysfunctional behavior. People are gonna start doing stuff to gain size that's not healthy.
A lot of times the men that I see are men who struggle with self-esteem issues, might have other issues, whether it's depression or anxiety, and a lot of times feel if their body looks perfect, then somehow that compensates for something that they feel they lack internally.
Is bigorexia a problem in society today?
Definitely. We're certainly seeing an increase in prevalence, whereas 25 years ago, it wasn't as much as what we see today.
They're willing to take the risks. In the end, it's the same. They're suffering.
I was raised in Strongsville, Ohio, really nice suburb area. Didn't work out. I was really into music. That was my passion at the time. I found fitness, and I told myself I wanted to try to put on some biceps and abs. I just started going to the gym. Sometimes I get caught and I go to another gym and try to sneak in. And it's just kind of what I did, snuck into gyms. I just didn't know what the hell I was doing. I just went in there and just started lifting shit up. What's up?
Trey. Good week. At your backyard.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, look at that. Do you see that arm? Okay, now Tony, a little bit, just a little bit.
Friends of freedom, I am Dr. Tony Huge, and we are here to crush ignorance and pioneer human evolution.
I've met many of the most massive bodybuilders around the world, and I have met a number of them that do not understand how large they are. They want to get as absolute big as possible. They want to be the biggest. To most people, it would make 0 sense because they're already seen as the biggest. Why would they want to get any bigger? It's to the point of almost like a circus freak.
A little break for the first time. It's like it's morning time.
I don't want to.
Yeah, it looks good, Chesson. It looks cool.
I didn't really, okay, I'll do it, but I just don't, I didn't really want to film anything until I was all ready to go, but I'll stop sounding like a bitch and do it.
Yeah, I don't think this part of the house is going to look any different. Just going down the stairs. It's just like it's morning time.
I was a toothpick. I put on 100 pounds naturally from 150 to 250. It was easy to put on muscle. Then once I, went the other route, kept on putting on even more and more and more, and I was just like, wow, I'm really blowing up. I mean, I'm 342 right now. My heaviest ever was 350. I feel like I'm addicted to getting big. When you want to be the biggest, you just keep on getting bigger until you are the biggest. And even when you're the biggest, you still want to get bigger. I would definitely say I had bigorexia because just never satisfied. Simply never satisfied. I wouldn't say it's a bad addiction. It's life-changing and it could be a problem, if it affects your lifestyle, but I wouldn't say that.
I don't think bigorexia is inherently a problem. It is going to cause the person who suffers from it to cost some of their health, some of their happiness. But if you look at anyone in any industry that's really great at what they do, they're probably great at it because they're a little bit insane. I think Craig has the worst case of bigorexia that I've ever seen. I mean, I think he's the world's largest bodybuilder. He fluctuates between 330 and 350 pounds. So here we have the world's largest bodybuilder who's still afraid that people are going to think he's small, who's still afraid that he's going to get caught on camera not looking his biggest, and who's working every day to try to even get bigger.
What's my typical day like? I wake up, I eat breakfast, I relax, eat again, relax a little bit more, let my food settle, go to the gym, eat again, come home, eat again, relax, take a protein shake, go to sleep. For me, I'm into the mass monster look, and I'm trying to keep it somewhat alive to show the world that the monsters do exist.
Pull it up in your eye. Oh, dude, it was. I couldn't even see out of that eye.
I was always drawn to sports, and specifically lifting and wanting to be big and strong. Big muscles and strength was something I was always drawn to. Those two things were these two strong desires that were with me my whole life. To some point still, it's still something that, trying to balance is tricky.
What are your feelings on bigorexia?
I think it's a real thing, certainly, and I would say that I can totally relate. I think it's very common. I think a lot of the bigger athletes feel that to some degree. I know I did myself. He'd walk into a room and there's a bunch of other athletes in there, but I could be the biggest one. And I would know that in my head, but I would look at them and I would always feel like they were bigger than me. And I would always feel insecure. Like back then, the way I picked out all of my clothes was what made me look biggest. Psychologically, it was a big struggle for me too, because I'm still feeling like I'm supposed to be female, but yet now I'm putting more male hormones into my body. And some of those things I really struggled with. Lifting was more important than my career, more important than anything else. And it was just a big part of who I am. But now, the need to figure out my gender and figure out all these things was kind of surpassing that. So I was struggling. And it just became this balancing act. What's most important to me, and what things am I willing to give up? If I want to transition, and I pretty much have to walk away from my lifting career, which was something that was very fulfilling and something I loved doing. So it was just really complicated.
What? I'm sorry, am I gross and sweaty and disgusting? Nah, you're fine. Let's do it. Listen, Matt Cook, you're not a girl, okay? You're not a girl. You're gender fluid. There's no such thing as gender fluid. You're either a guy or girl, or you have a fetish, you know what I mean? That I think that gone too far.
I know transgender is a whole identity thing.
They were born a man and they're naturally stronger.
Yeah,
so
I kind of agree with that. It's a bit unfair.
At the end of the day, I mean, my wife is in the restroom and, transgender, man goes in the bathroom, and, it's a problem, It's a problem because who knows if he goes in there, and starts flashing because he still likes women.
You can't do that. You can be a transgendered woman, but you're not a woman. You're not a genetic woman. You're either born male or you're born female.
When people think about trans women, they think of someone like me that is very masculine, has all this extra muscle mass. Well, that's not the majority of the cases. Another big problem with the trans community is that we're so invisible. And they do that because of discrimination. They do it because of violence. They just want to live their lives and they want to be left alone. People just they have this idea that it's simply a man putting on a dress and growing their hair out and putting on makeup. And so when people think of trans people, the only people they think of, the only ones they see are the people who don't blend in. Then there's just so much misinformation and disinformation. You hear all these stories about trans women smashing world records and all this, and it's baloney. It hasn't happened. Trans women have been able to compete in the Olympics since 2004 in Athens. In that time, there has been no Olympic records, no Olympic golds, no Olympic medals of any kind. So if this was the huge advantage that people think it is, and it was so easy, why aren't all these trans women coming in and taking over these sports? It just hasn't happened. So the reality of the situation is trans women are not dominating sports and they haven't taken over. As I started getting bigger and putting on more size, all of a sudden I was like, oh boy, I don't know if this makes me feel good like it used to. Like now I feel like it's not what I want. So when I have an appearance coming up in another month or so that I'm slimming down specifically for that, I've dropped like 22 pounds so far and I plan to drop about another 20. So the idea is to get there for this appearance, see how it makes me feel, and if I feel good, I'm gonna keep going. I need to at least get down there and see, would I be as happy and feel as content as I think I would? And if not, then I can always put the weight back on.
Сколько раз ты питаешься в день?
Ой, знаешь, на этом не заморачиваюсь на самом деле. Ну, раза 3-4 мне хватает. То есть я кушаю и после 6, и перед сном. Считаю, что вполне нормально. Главное выбирать свой колораж дневной и его не превышать. Бодибилдинг сложно назвать именно профессией. Но вот последние пару лет, да, бодибилдинг стал для меня и профессией, и хобби.
How did you discover bodybuilding?
Ну, на самом деле, случайно. Как и многие люди, я просто пришла в спортзал. На тот момент я была еще ребенком. Вот. Ну и буквально через несколько месяцев занятий меня заметил мой тренер, ну, так скажем, что у меня очень хороший прогресс, и предложил мне выступить на чемпионате по бодибилдингу. Ну, мне это было очень приятно. Я решила, что, наверное, стоит попробовать дальше себя в этом виде спорта.
Как человек, это один из самых целеустремленных людей, которых я видел. Как друг, вот казалось бы тоже, Наталья представительница женского пола, но таких друзей, как Наталья, среди мужчин не сыщешь.
Do you have concerns regarding your health?
Ну, вообще любой профессиональный спорт, большой спорт, он не полезен для здоровья. А когда уже идет речь о большом спорте, туда, конечно, какие-то риски, они всегда есть. И даже ни один самый опытный тренер вам не даст никаких гарантий. Лично я, ну, да, конечно, я волнуюсь, что здоровье это очень важно. Без здоровья. Поэтому, да, я стараюсь следить за своим здоровьем, чтобы свести эти риски к минимуму.
It's funny, my life, you got the bodybuilding trophies, but in sales, I always won, you know, first place in sales. This was the Mr. Ohio, I always got third. And then I finally won. I won one time, which is that picture. I won my weight class. I guess it's cool I got big, but I didn't have round muscles and just striated everywhere, no. In the end, I had won my first show finally after 7 tries. You know, I had qualified to go to nationals a few times before that, but I knew I wasn't ready. I was gonna keep going, keep getting progressively bigger. I wanted to be a bodybuilder, and so it was really tough to let go of. I mean, that's a lot of blood, sweat, tears, money. This was a pipe dream from day one. But I think the competitive spirit in me, like, I enjoyed the challenge. I enjoyed that you don't think I could do it. I love that, and that was really why I love bodybuilding, is it was so tough. It was so tough. It was so going against the grain.
I think anyone that goes in and works in their body on a daily basis or 5 days a week, they're bodybuilders. Now, step aside and say a bodybuilder professionally, that's what you do for a career. It gets a little extreme.
It's actually quite unhealthy. There is a large amount of drugs involved right now. There is very, very unhealthy extremes of dieting and dehydration that goes into looking the way that you typically see in magazines or in these images.
The normal person doesn't want to look like Big Ramy. The average guy does not want to look like that. Bodybuilders have bigorexia. That's why they want to look like that. They'd say, I want to look like that and get even bigger.
I think guys never have a limit, and they really don't have a vision. They're just kind of in there doing it without any kind of goal. And they say, okay, how far can I push my body? And some people are never satisfied. That's just a person. I mean, it's like the workaholic, right? I think it's the same thing with people that train and people want to be bigger. They think just bigger, bigger, bigger all the time.
If you're like a really dedicated person, striving towards becoming a bodybuilder, you are willing to sacrifice your health for it, your even mental state at some point for it. But that emotional roller coaster is like intense. I mean, you make a lot of sacrifices, you know, for the sport.
This is a sport. You want to try to be the best you can be at it. There's a smart way to do it where you can limit a lot of these things, but you can't limit them all, and you are going to pay it. There's positives in bodybuilding that are really great, like discipline, hard work. The bodybuilding we love and we watch and we admire, that's a great way to kill yourself. So I got a bad infection in my glutes, and this kept getting worse and worse and more painful, and they needed to operate on me. But it kept spreading, and so they kept going back, got to take some more. And then there were like tunnels they dug. It just felt like they couldn't get it under control. It was spreading. It was all ruined. I knew it was going to be a long road out of there. It was scary.
The most recent data said that the world population incidence of anabolic steroid use, 1 to 5%. Men come in with heart disease, kidney disease. Despite a sober warning, they continue despite understanding that there's going to be more consequences.
So about 50%, I would say, of my patients who have muscle dysmorphia have used steroids. Steroids are a very accessible way for a lot of men with muscle dysmorphia to achieve what they're looking for, and at the same time, it never works. Like, it never actually helps them. If anything, now it's just raised the bar for them. There's a whole bevy of research showing that there are a lot of adverse medical consequences.
There are guys that are taking drugs, hurting themselves. I see it in their organs, and not to mention, they shut off their own natural production of testosterone, and they feel horrible. So the drugs lead to more and more, and they're gonna all think that next month I'm gonna come off. And they don't. No one comes off anymore.
I love steroids, but I mean, I've built my career around them. Used the right way,
We've seen great things happen in sports. We've seen football players get bigger and stronger and faster than ever. We've seen baseball players hit far more home runs. Sports get more exciting because of performance enhancing. I think that there should be medical supervision. Realistically, when done the right way, most of the hormones that you'll see as far as performance enhancing are safe and effective.
I kind of realized that you have to go and do the gnarly steroids, and that's when I started thinking, like, this isn't what I want to do. It was all new to me. It's like, I'm not doing this. I don't want to take all this stuff and ruin my body.
I'm I'm not anti-steroid, but let's be realistic. When you take steroids, you're not giving a shit about health. You give a shit about getting fucking jacked. That's why you take steroids. Because if you gave a shit about health, you would do it naturally. Nobody wants to do it naturally either because they don't want to fucking take the time it takes. It's a different animal when you're really jacked and you're on steroids. It's pay me now or pay me later. You pay later, that's all.
We like to go to the circus. And if you're gonna look at bodybuilding, natural bodybuilding, not gonna get the views and the clicks and the likes of looking at this superhuman.
I think there are just some guys that, you know, hey, you're born for this. But there are also many, many in the majority of us that are chasing a dream that they think they're gonna look like the guy on the Olympia stage and they're gonna be the guy. No one wants to admit that, and I didn't want to admit that, so you take more drugs and you try more things and you think you can overcome that. This game is, a lot of it is, if you want to be the best, it's genetics. I'm sorry.
There's a lot of unhealthy steps that go into looking that way, and unfortunately, it's why we've seen a lot of very popular bodybuilders die.
I had a dream. I want to be the best bodybuilder I can be. You got to do steroids. You know, if you're in bodybuilding, that's a given. I would argue steroids at that point started off as, I just want to be better at the sport. I want to be competitive. I think there's a way to do it where it's, you limit the risks. But as a young guy, don't forget, you got to understand what you're getting into. There is a price to pay. You are going to damage your body to some degree. You're going to have to break the law. I was okay with that. Bigorexia really takes the fun out of bodybuilding. It was also an inability to enjoy the hard work and the results. The whole time I'm looking at it like, this isn't enough. You're not that good. You could do better. So it's really kind of a depressing thing that just kind of ruins all this. You're doing all this hard work and it's like, can't you let go and enjoy it a little bit?
These men feel terrible. I have them. They feel they break down crying in front of me. They feel empty, useless. You're taking drugs, you're trying to get bigger and bigger and bigger, and you're getting sicker and sicker and sicker. That's bigorexia.
Ты с этого кайф ловишь, у тебя никогда депрессии нет, у тебя никогда проблем с этим. Ну, у меня вот цель была сделать тело, у меня никогда не было проблем, мне все равно, ну, сколько я бы зарабатывал денег, я бы вдохновлялся своим телом. Вот я встал в зеркало, посмотрел, все, и говорю, какой это кайф. Выхожу на улицу, на меня все смотрят, и я вот с этого кайф ловлю конкретно, что я вот один такой.
So I've used synthol and a number of other different site enhancement products you inject into a specific muscle to make it larger. It wasn't extremely appealing to me because I wanted to be larger everywhere, but once I attained the size that I wanted in most of my areas of body, I figured if there's some weak points like my biceps, I would use synthol to bring that up to make my body symmetrical.
Nowadays, you know, you can go onto YouTube and type in synthol or synthol man. You see a lot of these guys that have taken it to such disgusting extremes that they've become disformed. No sane person would look at that in a positive way. I have to think that some of those guys that have gone that extreme, they just have screws loose. Perhaps they just want to be known as the crazy guy with these ridiculously swollen arms.
Вот девушки, да, целлюлитные ягодицы, висячие.
Кирилл, ну вот такое вот тело тебе больше нравится?
Атлетическое или как?
Да.
Нет, если на тебе атлетическое тело, то это круто. Вот, это круто.
И у меня друг был, он занимался в зале долго, весил очень много. Вот, и я подумал, почему я так не могу? Ну, быть здоровым – это клево лично для меня. Ну, я пошел в зал заниматься со 2-го курса, прозанимался там 2 года, и меня очень сильно вдохновляло это. Я хотел что-то быстрого. Вот, чтобы пойти в армию и все слить, ну, я так не хотел. Я перед армией решил попробовать, что такое синтол. Ну, мне хотелось не только руки иметь, а другие части мышцы все. Просто быть огромным. Вот, чтобы мышцы огромные именно были. И форма именно овальную хотел. Не как у всех там атлетов мышцы, они плоско у всех идут, а именно овальные шарики хотел, потому что мне нравится это. И я в зеркало смотрел, и я решил для себя, я не должен быть ну, худым. Вот, взять, если обычную девушку, обычного парня, у них телосложение одинаковое. Ну, а я не хочу, чтобы у меня тело было как у девушки. Я вот решил таким способом пойти.
Synthol is, I think, one of the most dangerous things that people can use. There was a research paper that came out, and they took a bodybuilder who had used Synthol all over, and they x-rayed him, they took scans, and it looked horrible. It looked like death waiting to happen. When you saw the internal damage that it had caused, the connective tissue damage, it was unbelievable. It can be dangerous, and I think in some cases fatal.
Вот. Не повезло мне. Попался поддельный синтол. На самом деле не оригинальный. Вот. И вернусь к нормальным тренировкам, когда доктор даст рекомендации. Вот. Процесс восстановления не быстрый. Сейчас тампонирую.
Вот скажи, как ты не считаешь такие формы эстетичными?
Эти формы лучше, наверное.
А покажи.
Тут вот обложка.
Нет, я имел в виду форму.
Честно говоря, про Кирилла Терешина я не знаю, что сказать, потому что, ну, объективно человек, я думаю, что у него есть какие-то психологические и психические проблемы, совершенно точно. И самое главное, что сам Кирилл говорит, я не отношусь к бодибилдингу, сравнивать с бодибилдерами. Я фрик, говорит он. Никакого отношения, кроме как большие надутые руки, к нам Кирилл не имеет, поэтому, честно говоря, не вижу смысла большого это обсуждать.
Примером подражания для молодежи это плохо. Я не хотел бы, чтобы кто-то это повторял. Даже дело не в форме, что она плохая, там, уродливая, а дело в том, что можно попасться на такую ошибку, как я, в плане здоровья. Очень будет тяжело выкарабкаться. Я даже не знаю, что будет со мной через год. Будет ли у меня все нормально, пройдет ли операция нормально.
Do you realize how dangerous Synthol can be?
Не, ну если бы это было прямо критично опасно, я бы это не делал. Просто я сделал по ошибке это с дозировками. Неправильные дозировки ставил, и поэтому у меня организм реагирует на них неправильно.
There's a bunch of guys that want to get bigger simply to move more weight, and there's guys that simply want to get bigger because they want to look better and they want to get chicks. Anytime I see somebody using Synthol, all my respect for them goes out the window. They're looking to get the shortcut to get there. They're looking to get there in an easy, quick way. If you really tell people what it takes to put on solid muscle mass and maintain that over a long period of time, they won't want to do it. People want quick fixes. You know, that stuff's not necessarily healthy, so you can run into a lot of issues.
I feel like physique competitors are definitely more appealing to people outside of the fitness industry. If you lined up a physique competitor, a classic bodybuilder, and a bodybuilder, I would say a solid 70% at least would say I would want to look like the physique guy.
I still see muscle dysmorphia, although I might not see the emphasis on being huge.
They're actually smaller now. The effect now is right out of Hollywood. Really lean and mean and ripped, not big and puffy.
I remember when the movie Fight Club came out, these were lean, cut guys. They were not big and jacked and muscular. A lot of the younger people I see, they want to have the six-pack. They want to have the definition. They want to be able to have a lot of cuts and striations that really show off their muscularity. So I still see the muscle dysmorphia, but it takes on a different form now, where it's not I need to be the biggest guy in the room. It might be I need to be the cuttest guy in the room.
Zach, how do you feel about your placing in the last competition?
Well, I was initially excited as hell because I was first called out to center stage, and I did not get moved from being center stage. And I was standing up there with these other guys, and then I convinced myself I'd won it. I convinced myself, of course, I'm in the top 5. I wasn't. When they called the names out for the top 5, my name wasn't there. 16 weeks of pushing my body through some of the worst pain I've been through, both physically and mentally, was over in 5 minutes. And to not even be called out top 5, I mean, what the hell happened? You have no idea how much that killed me. I want to be on the Olympia stage. I want to win the Mr. Olympia title.
I'm just sorting them out.
Are you wanting them put into? Let's see when you say good ones. Oh look, Zach the actor.
Oh, right.
The French beret. I tell him he looks amazing, but it's not enough. He wants to get to that next bit, the next level. I think it's when it goes to the extreme, then it can be a little bit worrying.
What I liked, like maths, for example.
It's heartbreaking sometimes. He does look stunning, but in Zach's eyes, he wants to get that little bit better. It's not a bad thing. It's a good thing for him to always want more, to be pushing. Naturally, I have to add.
How do you feel about the use of steroids?
I will always put my health before my image. I've had a fair few friends die from taking it too far. I personally don't think I would ever go to that extreme where I'm putting my life at risk. I can safely say I wouldn't die for bodybuilding. Life is so precious, and I'm very conscious of the fact that we only have one life. And I'm not going to end it for a trophy. Always like the camera, didn't I? I discovered fitness through being just active as a kid. And the first time I ever went to a gym, I mainly just went on the treadmills. But it wasn't until after like 3 years of DJing and excessive drinking where I really got into it. I came back from Kavos, which is a Greek island, really unwell. Liver was kind of messed up. I was just drinking so much. My diet didn't really exist. I barely ate any food. And I was just having fun. But I did do that every single day for like years. And after a while, it takes a toll on your body. And I started becoming really ill. I thought I was going to die. I was like, oh my God, I'm killing myself. I need to stop this. And I went home and just put my shoes on and went for a run. I didn't even like do anything. The second I got home from the doctors, I went out for a run. And that was the start of this new chapter for me. I never looked in the mirror. Never looked in the mirror. I hated it. I hated looking at that person I used to be. I mean, it's funny how 10 years ago, I was scared of mirrors, basically, and now I can't stop looking in them.
Keep going back. Come on. 5 more. Let's go. 1, 2, 3.
The changes in my physique from last year are huge. I'm leaner now than I was last year. I'm really excited about this show. This is the one where I turn pro. I feel like I deserve it.
Okay, just do a bunch.
Yeah.
All right.
Try to do it in the air, okay?
Maybe a little further back. That would check, bro. 9K. You saw that. Oh, I like that one a lot.
Oh, that's
I look
clear.
really wide. I like to look big in photos. I like to look massive. Makes me feel better. You know, I love to use angles in photos. I'm very forward with it. Doesn't everybody want to look good in photos? So if you can look huge, wouldn't you do it?
I believe men have this social structure similar to a lot of species of animals where when you have an alpha male or a male that is a threat, you either submit so it doesn't become a risk to you, or you challenge the alpha male. Usually with more muscle, the brain sees big muscles, threat, submit. I've found that muscles has actually won me a lot of relationships because men see that as a physical power. They want to create an alliance with that. It's because humans are a very social species. If we're not social, we don't survive.
Do I think that I look good from time to time? I don't always like what I see. Sometimes I look at me, I'm like, wow, I'm looking small.
How important is it for you to maintain your size?
It's pretty important. This is what I'm known as. So I need to keep it. If I fail, then what am I?
Craig, what do you think about using protein powder?
I use it before bed just because it's very convenient, but obviously real food is always the best way to go, or drinking your egg whites, but it's cheaper. Do I feel any differently about working with Tony because he's more open about supplementation than me? Not at all. My view is I'm a big believer that you should wait to hit your maximum potential to even touch that stuff, like I did.
Do you think coaches who advocate steroid usage are a problem?
100% problem. It's ridiculous. It's unethical. In my opinion, they should be arrested. So they're destroying people's lives openly. You know, it's interesting, those gurus, they do know how to make a body on stage, but it's a diseased body.
The hardest part about being me on a daily basis is just like being a heavier person. Tying your shoes can be hard, and just like little things like that, you know, you get out of breath easier. My heart is working a lot harder than most people. There's nothing I can do about it. Once I'm where I'm at, my mentality of just wanting to be as huge as possible, there's nothing you can do. All you can do is pray you're okay and healthy, and that's about it.
Craig, are you even getting huge?
What the fuck do you think?
I don't think we would have bigorexia without social media, without comparing ourselves to people that are impossibly large. You're always comparing yourself to an impossible standard of someone that's on the other side of the world who has genetics completely different than you. And A lot of the photos are edited or with good lighting. So now it's put in your brain that, oh, you're no longer the biggest. You've got a lot further to go.
The issue of body image has definitely elevated with social media. I mean, there's a huge impact that social media has had for girls and boys in terms of how they look at their body image, because now we can have a picture taken of us and we might not look our greatest. Now it can be plastered all over the internet. So there's more of a pressure for young people to look good all the time.
Now when you're on social media, you're posting for validation. And maybe one time you get validated with a lot of likes, and next time you don't. And that makes you think, well, am I fat? Am I small now? Am I not big enough? Did I lose size?
I think in a way, social media has changed the game in both good ways and bad ways. You can go online, you can learn almost anything. You can figure out anything. You can figure out how to get in shape. You can figure out how to eat. But the other thing is that when you look at all these people, like, are you less than? You know, are you not as good as? Do you not have the fancy car? Do you not have the 20 chicks that you're lifting over your head like Bradley Martin? You know, like, those are the things that we look at and we're like, shit, man. Like every time I look at somebody like Bradley Martin's Instagram, I'm like, I'm not that jacked and I'm not that good looking. Shit.
Do you think bigorexia can be positive for some people?
I think anything that comes into your life as a negative can always be used as a positive. So I think if you have bigorexia and it's something that you're trying to fix, I think as long as you're kind of aware of it, I think it could be very helpful.
Throughout the years, I ate what I wanted and I put on weight and, man, overweight all the way through being 27. I remember I went to the hospital, stepped on that scale, 605 pounds. I didn't think that was possible. Like, what do you do at 600 pounds? Like, I felt like it was over. It was that moment when I looked in the mirror, I was just disgusted. I was fed up with who I was. I took a picture and I was like, I'm never gonna be this dude, never gonna be this dude again. And I was like, man, I'm just gonna walk. Decided I was gonna walk every meal. And I did that for about 90 days. Before I did that, I had to throw away everything in my refrigerator, everything in my cabinets. It was nothing but junk food. So I'm just gonna walk to get every meal. And then I would eat, and as soon as I got hungry, I would go and walk again. So I walked, I would get halfway, and I used to have to stop. Couldn't even walk a mile without stopping. And those moments really made me go even harder. I just lost 100 pounds in 90 days. And that's when it hit me. I don't even see the difference. Find out after losing 100 pounds, I was 53% body fat. You know, most people would take that as, yo, I just lost 100 pounds, this ain't working. For me, it was like, all right, well, maybe I need to lose 50 more. If I wasn't happy with where I was, I always just put another number on it. Maybe I'll be right in 50 pounds. This a never-ending cycle, 50 here, 50 there. I kept that same attitude when I stepped in the gym. It was hard. It was hard. I never lift weights. Right before I would quit, I would just be like, I literally would talk to myself while I'm lifting weights. And I would say, stop making fun of me. I'm tired of y'all. Every struggle, everything I went through in life, I should remind myself. Hi everybody, Possible Pat. Today's the day. About to do my marketing. Stay tuned for the full surgery.
So we've gone ahead and marked the center of Pat's abdomen and the very lowest incision down by the pubic bone. So now we're going to give us our basic markings for the back. What we want to do is we want to follow the isthmus border, the trapezius, and this little notch in the center. Pat face down. He's asleep, and we've retraced our markings for the back skin removal.
I remember people always, Pat, why are you in the mirror? You're conceited. And I'm like, dude, I'm not in the mirror for those reasons. I've never seen this person. That is me sculpting who I was today. And to be honest, like, I just ain't happy about nothing. Nothing. Maybe my calves. But seriously though, like, sometimes I'm disgusted with my body. And that's just the honest truth. Like, no matter how much weight I lost, no matter how much muscle I put on, I see this person like that I'm disgusted by. Even when I did my show, and I was the leanest I've ever been in my life, I couldn't see it.
How much did bigorexia play a part in your transition?
I don't see it as a disorder. I feel like you want to be better, so you go get it. Maybe I think like that because I'm so far away from where I started. Just being content is the horrible thing. I think having this disease or whatever you want to call it, is it a bad thing? I want to be better. I want to be bigger. I want to be faster. I want to be stronger. Or maybe it's because I did come so far, and I know what being content can get you.
I think it's negative. I think bigorexia is negative. If you're not comfortable with how you look in the mirror, there's a problem. No one's truly satisfied. I can tell you I still look in the mirror now and I'm not truly satisfied with how I look. But it goes beyond all bigger arms or this and that. I don't really, like I said, I'm not looking for size. I'm just looking for better balance and leaner, leaner, muscular look.
I think it can only have a positive effect in the long run if they are able to deal with what's going on with them and they can understand themselves. I see a lot of people struggling and a lot of people just focus too much on that material per se. They can lose themselves in the process. And then later they're gonna deal with even more struggles because it doesn't get any better.
Здесь вообще про поезд не думай. Тебе надо как можно сильнее наклониться к этой фигне и ручки сконцентрироваться.
Мне нравится сам процесс тренировок, нравится строить свое тело, то, как я выгляжу. Ну, а продолжаю этим заниматься, потому что, мне вообще нравится бодибилдинг, поэтому я им и занялась изначально. Поэтому, да, конечно, поддерживать объемы для меня очень важно. Важно быть всегда в хорошей форме. Ну, слава богу, мне дается довольно легко. Вот, поэтому, за счет моей генетики, может быть, да, то есть я безболезненно могу поддерживать форму, которая у меня обычно. Ну, и опять-таки, мне приятно радовать своих фанатов. Отчасти я выступаю еще и поэтому. Я всегда тренируюсь, и раньше тренировалась с большими весами. Вот, это, конечно, помогает очень и поддерживать мышечную массу, и наращивать ее.
Female bodybuilders, I hang out with a lot of them and I'm friends with them and I love them. Do I find them attractive? No. I think it's a little bit much because it's obvious you're taking male hormone in a female body. Like, I don't find that attractive, but again, who am I to tell her not to do that?
Maybe for those female bodybuilders, they're so internally driven and they have a perception of what they want to be that they don't need external validation for it. They might have a goal, I want to gain muscle, and it doesn't matter, and I'm going to focus on the process day to day to reach that. Maybe female bodybuilders who are on stage. Maybe they're trying to get attention like the guy who's using synthol. You know, it's a different mechanism, but maybe that's a way for them to be different and stand out.
One of the studies that had looked at a sample of women with bigorexia found a very high prevalence of trauma, of rape or sexual assault in these women's backgrounds. And the idea of them building a very strong body was a defense to any kind of assault.
So women that have bigorexia, there are women that are using steroids and they're using performance-enhancing drugs. They get cosmetic health consequences. I mean, they lose their hair, their face structure changes, and they get ridiculed by people for that. They lose their female body structure and getting what will be called, you know, the early boy body, you know, where their hips are lost.
Every woman wants to stay feminine. Building muscle for a woman is not as easy as it is for a guy. And then, you know, women have to reach to different methods to get muscle. But that takes away then from the femininity, because if you take certain things, your facial structure changes. The more muscle you build too, you know, the harder it is to come down again, and it just becomes harder and harder the bigger you get.
Ой, знаешь, спортивная жизнь, наверное, такой как бы мечты нет. Я не особенно мечтатель в этом плане. А так, в плане медалей, кубков, мне это уже достаточно. Ну, потому что цели собрать все медали, кубки у меня нету. Я намного популярнее многих чемпионов, которые сейчас там выступают. Сейчас, причем продолжаю, ну, во-первых, потому что мне тоже это нравится, во-вторых, то, что у меня это хорошо получается, то, что очень приятно, что у меня есть очень много фанатов, что-то, ну, уже на данный момент приносит доход какой-то, да, то есть очень много предложений по гостевым, по шоу, по семинарам, выставкам, вот.
When I first was trying to figure everything out, I was taking all these gender identity exams, and I kept scoring exactly the same way on all of them. Extremely feminine, but also extremely masculine. I was like in the 99th percentile on both. It's not as simple as male and female, and it's not like there's just these two boxes. For me, it's a lot blurrier than that. But I definitely always had the female gender identity. When I was a small child, I would just be daydreaming and picturing myself as female, and I couldn't understand why, but that's just what felt natural. But being forced to play a stereotypical masculine role made me extremely uncomfortable. But you basically just reach a point where you can't lie to yourself anymore, and you got to deal with it, or you're just going to be miserable. And I understand, I know what I look like, and I know I don't fit into the stereotypical, female, but I'm okay with that now. And then you go through like what young teenage girls go through, trying to figure out fashion and makeup and hair and what works for you and your skin colors and all that kind of stuff.
How did your transition affect your size?
On one hand, I'm slimming down and being able to wear things I couldn't wear, and that felt really, really good. But then also as an athlete, to go from squatting 1,000 pounds and then all of a sudden you're down to 900, then 800, then 700, and then 6, and then I'm going, how far is this gonna go? I was prepared to lose some strength for sure, and definitely planned to lose a bunch of muscle, but it was more drastic than I expected. And it's funny, the only time I feel big is when I'm presenting very feminine. Then I feel huge, and I'm like, damn, I wish I was smaller. In our society, being a big muscular person, you generally get treated really well. And it's hard to like walk away from all that, and especially to embrace something that society does not see in a positive light. My senior year was when I got a reputation of kind of being like the big, strong person. And then, when I went in the Marines, I was typically the strongest guy wherever I went. Then that became my identity. So I was always the big jack person. I would never feel like I looked very good or very big, and I never see myself as big or strong as I actually am. And when you go someplace you don't normally go, or you see certain pictures, or maybe you see some film of yourself, and then every once in a while you're like, oh gosh, I guess I am a lot bigger than I think. But then it doesn't take long and you're right back where you were before. So I knew I had a skewed self-perception, but I was conscious of it, and I don't think it ever crossed into like an unhealthy way. I don't think it pushed me to do anything I wouldn't have done otherwise. But at the same time, it was part of my motivation.
How does bigorexia affect self-image?
I've asked men about this that have it. It's unsatiable.
I wasn't confident. Even though I look like a model, I stopped bodybuilding because I didn't see what I was. I feel it's people not seeing who they are. They're just not seeing it. So I feel like it's people not having validation for themselves from other people maybe around them that they need, like support.
A person with muscle dysmorphia never feels satisfied. They always feel this sense of insecurity and that they're never big enough, which means that there's never really an end point that they can even feel good about their bodies or celebrate their successes. These are not the guys at Venice Beach who are publicly displaying themselves because there's this real hesitancy of, well, what if I'm not as muscular and somebody sees that, and then basically I get exposed for being just weak and being really vulnerable.
I never took my shirt off, ever. I wore bigger shirts, didn't really show the gains. I was fighting a demon. And what I did was, I was like, I'm just gonna show my physique that I'm the best. I started ripping my shirt off every video, and I said, I don't care. And I wanted to prove to everyone that I don't care.
I didn't like how I looked, but when I would go out in public, I would receive so many comments that I could not deny that everyone else was seeing something that I wasn't seeing. You hate yourself so much, you're so disgusted, it's so inward focused. And you can't see it. But I didn't show it off because I didn't think it was that great.
I was always an athlete and just always interested in competition, and I was one of those people that's just ultra competitive, like everything. And for me, there's no bigger high than winning. After I broke the all-time world record at 220, I thought, oh, I'll go up and get the one at 242 and then 275. I'm just gonna dominate everything, and that was my plan. It was weird, like after I broke the all-time world record, this was a goal I'd been chasing, there was this letdown. It was like, okay, well, what do I do now? And I switched over to bodybuilding, decided to do a show, and then this guy from one of the magazines came up and asked to interview me. Then out of nowhere, he goes, so I heard you're talking about getting a pro guard. That's a pretty big statement for someone who's never even competed. And right there, like my resolve was, okay, I'm getting a pro card. Because I've used so much of that growing up, being the small, white, trashy kid and always having people look down on you, and then all the gender stuff. And so I grew up my whole life having this big chip on my shoulder and feeling like I always needed to prove myself. I always felt less than everyone else, and the only way I could feel better was to beat them. I felt like if I was better than them at what they liked, then they couldn't look down on me.
The best quote I got on Bigger, Stronger, Faster was Christian Boving. He said, all bodybuilders are little kids in gorilla suits. And he said that because all of us have been hurt. All of us have been, kicked when we're down or stepped on, and treated like shit. And basically, we try to battle that by getting as big as we possibly can.
Wow. Memories. It's been a long time since I've been here. It's like I know this school more than my house. I literally know every corridor, every room. And summer vacation, we would come to the fields and just play all the time. My body, when I was younger, super skinny. Like, I was the skinniest kid. Super pale. I had terrible, terrible gyno when I was like 14, 15. I can't remember what they would say specifically. I just remember people laughing at me, but that was enough. That was enough.
He was getting teased at school and name calling and that kind of thing, but it wasn't until really after that the full content of it came out.
That boys and men who are bullied or shamed are definitely at higher risk for developing these kind of issues, certainly developing self-esteem issues, but if the shaming and the bullying is around their bodies, then they are absolutely at higher risk of developing body image disorder, an eating disorder, muscle dysmorphia. For boys, it can be either boys who are shamed or bullied for being overweight or underweight. So the boy who is too skinny can be bullied for not being strong enough. He's the last one picked for the basketball team. It can cause a lot of insecurities.
What started me down the weightlifting path was at 19 years old, I was jumped at a party and I was beat up by 6 guys. And when they couldn't kill me, they hit me with a beer bottle. And it just kind of clicked in my head that I thought, well, if I lift weights and put on muscle, people won't pick on me. And it was almost out of necessity to feel safe. When you're 6'3", 295, no one picks on you and no one looks at you.
I cried a lot. I used to run home just crying, thinking, what's wrong with me? Am I different? Am I a freak? I was questioning so much and I couldn't understand why. I was like, why me? What's wrong? Why am I so different? I just didn't want to be a loser anymore. I didn't want to be a failure. I didn't want to be average. I was sick of it. If I go into a gym and it's busy, my hood's up and I don't want to be seen by anybody. I don't know what it is. I get very anxious in certain situations. Having literal battles with myself, arguments in my own head. How I act, am I normal? Should I do this? Should I do that? All these morbid thoughts would go through my head all the time, thinking about death a lot. Even today, it still affects me.
Train at platform 2 is the 2026 Greater Ambulance Service.
That's it, bro. Need to eat. Need to eat, man. Fucking hell. I've put everything aside for this. Simple as that. I have become a slave to this show. Just doing the same thing every day, pushing myself to my limit. Is it? Oh, it is downstairs. Oh, look at the strength of it. Right, 60 grams. Mentally, I'm ready. Mentally, I'm focused. Mentally, I'm ready to give it all. But at the same time, throughout the day, because of how depleted I am and drained I am and exhausted I am, it can mess with my mental state too. The work's been done. Today is my final death day. Now I just need to trust in my coach, listen to what he says, and just do it. That's all I can do. Let's fucking go. Pro card coming.
Синтол я ставил неоригинальный, в домашних условиях я сам его варил. Вот, своя формула, 20 мл. Примерно, если взять бицепс, ставил Если с верхней части начинать, ставил сюда, 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 сюда. И вот так чередовал сюда, 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 слева направо. Трицепс я ставил в одну точку только. Ну, не в одну точку, сюда, сюда, сюда и сюда. Здесь я ставил снизу. Сюда, сюда, сюда.
What other body parts do you want to make bigger?
Я бы все хотел увеличить с помощью синтола. Если бы это грамотно сделать бы, то у меня все было нормально. Но, к сожалению, такой возможности нету.
Why synthol and not implants?
Во-первых, импланты очень дорогие, и, во-вторых, таких размеров имплантов, нету. Я думаю, чтобы именно размеры Халка сделать. Устраивает, я хотел бы все тело. Я переживаю, злюсь. То, что я, во-первых, не доделал свою мечту, так плюс еще проблему себе жизненную сделал.
If somebody goes and puts that much synthol on their arms, I think it has to be, unless they're completely insane, it has to be known that this doesn't look good. And that it's just, I want people to look at me.
Então eu aguentava muita zoação das pessoas na rua, então aí decidi, eu falei assim, eu vou mudar. Com um complexo, porque você era muito magro, né? E começou por causa de muita zoação, né? Porque eu era uma pessoa bem magra, né? Aí eu falei assim, vou tentar fazer alguma coisa, né? Aí comecei a ir na academia, comecei a usar esteroide, anabolizante, para ver se dava um resultado melhor. Depois dessa fase, eu comecei a conhecer o Sintol, né, que é o óleo mineral, essas coisas aí. Geralmente que você pega e puxa, né, com a seringa. Tem um preconceito, né? É bom, as pessoas gostam de zoar, né? Aliás, na internet, eu acho que eu sou a pessoa mais zoada aqui na internet. Você já viu, né? Tem comentários que falam que você é... Alguém mesmo já me falou, sou doente, doentio, e coisas, né? Você escuta pessoas te criticando, eu sou escória, não sei o quê, deformado, tem um monte, vários, né? Você fica chateado, mas é a opinião das pessoas, né? No começo da taquicardia, eu tive que passar por causa de ter tomado muito. Na época eu tinha tomado aquela vitamina de cavalo, né, aquelas coisas mais fortes, aí me atacou. Então o médico foi por causa de eu parar de usar, senão eu poderia acabar morrendo, né? Então tem sempre uma consequência, né? Não indicaria para ninguém usar isso.
What happens is they use a little bit and they get a little bit of results and they get compliments on it, or they get acceptance, and they want more of that. And they figure the more synthol they use, the more they enhance whatever body part they're getting complimented on, the more love that they'll get. It crosses a certain point where it actually goes the other way, where they start to look ridiculous, and they still are chasing more love and injecting more.
Who the fuck is anybody to say anything about what somebody wants to look like? If some guy wants to fucking shoot synthol, I think it's dangerous. It's not bodybuilding. If this guy's happy doing that, it's not fair for me to say he shouldn't be doing that.
Do you like the attention you get on social media?
Объемы сделали меня популярными. Изначально я делал это для себя, чтобы чисто у меня вид такой был, не для какой там
популярность или еще что-то. В социальных сетях, это взять социальную сеть такую, как Контакт, Инстаграм, я стал выкладывать фотографии. Рука у меня была 48 тогда, я первые фотки выложил. Изначально ничего такого не было. Когда я стал выкладывать уже руку, там 51 сантиметр, 52, люди это заметили. Начали постить везде. Я стал видео снимать. На следующий день я прибавлю столько-то, столько-то. У меня в Инстаграме в основном московская аудитория, Москва. То есть я здесь нахожусь, в любой момент я могу выехать куда-то на коммерческое предложение и все. А финансы изменились очень. Все подходят, фотографируются с улыбкой.
I masturbated to attention. I loved it. You know, it got me hard. And guys would mush their girlfriend's all hot and shit, you know, and every guy's looking at the girl. And meanwhile, her boyfriend's staring at me like a fucking, you know, and he mushed his girlfriend aside just to come up to me. Dude, what are you taking, bro? Chris Bell said to me, but that's attention from guys. I said, you don't understand. No, it's not. It's attention from everybody. Because even the girl, her man is fucking kissing my fucking ass. And that bigorexia shit kicks in and you're loving it. So the attention goes with it. That feeds the bigorexia.
I definitely think that there's a large percentage of people that compete that are definitely, they're addicted to some level of attention, whether it be from insecurities and it's making them feel better, or just a desire to be in the spotlight. So there's a certain level of the desire to be needed for people to love you or want you or to be in that spotlight for sure.
That's bigorexia. That means you got this condition where you gotta fucking be bigger than everybody else. You want that attention. You gotta have an ego for that. It's all ego driven. It's all this need to be fucking the biggest guy in the classroom. That's the greatest compliment you can tell a bodybuilder. Dude, you look a little more jacked. You know, that stokes your ego and shit, you know? It gives you big erection instead of bigorexia.
You know, normal has been tough to handle, so normal now is about handling it, you know. And that's
Worked so hard. I know sometimes you would leave here at 6 o'clock at night, go to the gym afterward, and work all day, and come here, and go to meetings. I mean, you worked so hard, and we're so not happy.
There was a girl that lived behind me who was maybe 3-4 years older than me. She eventually got me to start doing sexual things with her. I had no idea what I was doing. I was 8 years old. I was in 2nd grade. This went on for about a year, nonstop, as much as I could do it, because I loved it. And eventually I loved it so much, I told some of the neighborhood kids. And what happened is they told somebody, and child services got involved. I think the neighbors blamed the boy. And at that point, my life changed. My whole world went to fear. That uncomfortable feeling can manifest itself in a lot of different ways. I started to drink at about 15 years old, and I loved the drink and party, and that took off real strong. I started to not like my body. You know, hated my body, I hated it. Didn't yet want to be big. So I was very lucky. I got into treatment pretty quick and got help pretty quickly, and then it became a battle, you know, and that's where, you know, bodybuilding was a big part of helping me stay sober in the beginning. It was a great release. It worked tremendously, but the problem is there's that pendulum where, you know, okay, this is healthy, and now, you know, and we start to pay some serious prices later on.
So the danger of not treating muscle dysmorphia is some of the men that I've worked with really put themselves at real injury because of overtraining, have really lost the ability to work out. So this is something that's been so important to them, and yet that obsession has led them to be in a position where they can no longer work out.
Extreme body dysmorphia is right out of the poster. It's a big monster. He's having heart disease, kidney disease. He's isolated his whole life. He's having repeat surgeries from acne boils in the hospital to gynecomastia. He is financially not doing well.
Not to mention the psychological effects, psychosis, roid rage, manic behavior that has solely been attributed. These are men that I work with that don't have a history of bipolar disorder or psychosis. So from a medical perspective, there's risk, but from a psychological perspective, there's risk. When you have an individual that doesn't and can't feel that he can leave his house for fear of how he's going to be seen. Men I've worked with who get fired from their jobs because they cannot leave the gym for fear that they're going to get smaller. So I might work with men who are suicidal because they had an injury, and because of that injury, they cannot work out anymore, and they literally feel like their lives are not worth living.
You know, and they're kept out of sight until someone like Rich drops dead.
The blood flow that these bodybuilders got going on, the heart is pumping like a motherfucker to sustain that kind of body weight and that amount of muscle. Rich Piana knew that. That's why he was talking about bringing his fucking weight down. He didn't get a chance to do it. So you put yourself at risk when you get that jacked. You're gonna pay the price. You don't recover from that shit. And there ain't no insurances. There's no fucking benefits. But you know what? I'd rather be big. I don't give a shit. I'll die huge. I guarantee if you dug up Rich Piana and said, would you like to still be alive? You gotta sacrifice that shit. He would.
So is there an actual treatment for bigorexia?
Bigorexia can be treated. It's a psychiatric treatment with medicines and cognitive behavioral therapy. It's talk therapy, interpersonal therapy, and it's real medicines like SSRIs, like Prozac.
So a general treatment model for muscle dysmorphia would first start by me assessing what it is that the person is really motivated to do. Are they motivated to cut their workouts down? Are they ready to give up the use of steroids? Do they have an eating disorder that we have to deal with?
The two main things that have been looked at is cognitive behavioral therapy as well as antidepressant drugs. When you use antidepressant drugs, they help a little bit, but I don't think they address the root of the problem, and cognitive behavioral therapy does, and that's actually changing your mindset. You need to change the perception of how you look.
I often will target the behaviors first. What are the behaviors that are getting in the way? So if you're not leaving your house, we have to work on ways of getting you out of your house. If you are working out 6 hours, we need to cut that down. What that means is this individual is going to get quite anxious, and part of the treatment is helping these men tolerate that anxiety and tolerate that uncertainty. What's also the biggest fear for a lot of these men is that the treatment is going to be that they never work out again. That the treatment is that their bodies are just going to go down and whittle away to, you know, a scrawny, skinny self. The goal isn't that you can never work out. The goal is to regulate that and have it be balanced. But it's all in balance, and too much of a good thing is still too much.
It's time to get huge, man. That's all I know, man. You know? I don't know about you. Is that what you know?
That's why we're going to the buffet.
Yeah. I'm feeling skinny, so I told Tony, bro, we got to grow. All right, let me get egg whites, spinach, and you know what? Now I'm trying to get huge. Let's get mushrooms, onions, jalapenos, cheddar cheese, and bacon. I see people talking about me when I walk by, or you know, depending on how I'm looking or what I'm wearing, or if it's out to the gym. That doesn't bother me. I love it. Even when people talk shit, I take it as a compliment. Honestly, the way I see it, they're kind of complimenting me, man. You're saying I look so fucking big. I'm so fucking huge, which I want to be, that I'm gonna die. So kind of complimenting me in a weird, freaky sense.
My thoughts on a guy like Craig Goliath. It's body modification. He loves it. You can see that he loves it. So he put a lot of work into that, to say the least. But if he's happy like that, then I think it's fine. Does he have bigorexia? Fucking A, he's got bigorexia. He eats that shit up. If you threw him on a desert island and he lost all that muscle, he would probably fucking, you know, kill himself or something.
lot of men will create an identity around building muscle, kind of like I have. How far becomes too far, where you're just never going to be satisfied with it. On the other hand, if you become satisfied and you become comfortable with the appearance that you've created, then you lose the motivation to keep working towards it.
That was light as fuck.
And once you attain that goal, it becomes very depressing, because then what else are you working towards? You've created your identity towards working towards this vision of yourself.
It's amazing. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, because the more my presentation still varies from day to day. I wouldn't say that I present exclusively masculine anymore. I might not be wearing a wig or makeup, but my nails are always painted. I always carry a purse. 99% of my clothing is female. That's what feels comfortable for me on some days. At this point in my life, I just don't care. I don't care what people think. I held myself back for way too long, so I just do what feels good and feels natural. If I could snap my fingers and be in a completely female body, I would do it in a second.
What's your shoulder right now? Let's make it fall. After I know it's very time to be here.
The biggest thing that kept me from coming out sooner was my 3 sons. Even though they knew everything, they just grew up knowing that that's who I am, and they don't think anything of it. So we have a really close relationship, and they're very supportive, and they couldn't be more awesome. When I got outed a few years ago, a lot of things I kind of worried about did happen. Lost my sponsorships, and I'd say at least 50% of the fan base basically turned on me. But the silver lining to that cloud was that then I was able to be open and honest and talk about everything. And I think I've been able to educate a lot of people, and hopefully I'll be able to, continue to do that. But I think visibility is really important. I think being open and honest is really important. Growing up and feeling so alone, I felt like I was broken, I felt unlovable, and it was really, really hard. I don't want other people to have to struggle through those same things, so if me being open and honest helps other people, makes their life a little easier and helps them accept who they are, then, then it's totally worth it.
See over here, you ready? You gonna cry or are you gonna fight? Eddie? Come on. Come on. Eddie, come on. I'm funny, huh? No.
Do you think you still suffer from bigorexia since your surgery?
It doesn't go away right away. For the past 12 years, I've been a bodybuilder. I lost that identity, so for a couple months, I was very angry. I was very irritable. I was, all out of whack. So it was a mess. It was really rough. Because that was another thing, being a father, getting to enjoy that. I was robbed of that. There was all of a sudden this moment where I started to connect with him, and so, I'm really enjoying being a father, which is a whole other thing that I'm so glad I'm done with bodybuilding. Once I had a kid and realized what that meant, it began to make bodybuilding look pretty silly if I'm gonna have to explain to him later on in life why I have health issues. Because Daddy wanted to be the biggest guy in the supermarket, no one gives a crap. Are they in a group or? Yeah, you can go this way.
Hello.
Hey, look at you. We always lose the guy.
Oh, they're supposed to be here.
I want to know. All right. So we're gonna do our mini real quick. Production AA meeting, or not AA, just a recovery. But no, I just wanted to say, I just want to thank you, and thank the men for coming to this meeting. On the way here, we were talking about, why I do this, and I was explaining to him, to the camera, that it does a lot for me. You men help me out. Every week I'm here, this is, I always leave here feeling better than when I got here. Usually one or two of you pull to the side and we have a heart-to-heart talk afterwards about, do this because I was once in your seat. I believe in helping people. I'm only here because of all the people that took time to help me. And I'm now ready to help other people. And I think the last problem to solve was bodybuilding. It was really the last little thing that kind of didn't make sense. I don't know how it's going to play out for the future. I know this. I feel very dedicated to following Dr. O'Connor. I think having the health facts backing me up, that he's telling me I need to lose weight to help my heart, I've never had that before. No one's ever told me anything's wrong. I tried to do this before and I failed. So I am nervous about that, but I would argue that at this point in my life, there's a lot of great reasons why this is a smart move. It's something I could kind of feel in my gut, I kind of wanted to do. And now, hey, let's go do something else, right?
Еще раз.
Вот у меня есть с руками проблемы, выскакивает воспаление. Что мне делать, чтобы у меня не было проблем, но я сохранял такую же форму рук, как сейчас?
Ничего тебе не сделать. Но надо посмотреть, будет или нет хуже. Если хуже, надо удалять. Каким уж способом, там второй момент. То есть будут по-любому потери, и сразу же потери будут, если они будут, то они будут большие. И я считаю, знаешь что, если ты хочешь вот такую форму, да, то есть если все это дело удалить, что там останется, потихонечку надо импланты вставлять тебе, и все, больше ничего не сделать. Не сможешь ты никак большую форму такую сделать по-другому, таких путей нет.
А если я с рук уберу синтол, можно будет после этого как-то, каким-то способом, там, тренировками или еще чем-то, закруглить примерно до таких же объемов, как сейчас?
Ну, тебе нет. Ничто тебе не поможет. Вот. Если тебе скажут, что это не так, надо заниматься, это просто вруны. Такой объем в 60 сантиметров, 60-61, никаким залом, но надо быть генетически просто вот такой шайбой изначально. И, и то, как бы вот с хорошим тренером, с дисциплиной, вот подходить будет шанс. С твоей генетикой, тебе никогда, ни при каких... Это у нас в мире единицы, кто хотя бы рядом к такому размеру может приблизиться. И то они сами по себе, они больше тебя, генетически.
Я проверял свое здоровье, мне говорят, что там такого критичного ничего нету, но чтобы все до конца наладилось, иммунитет поднялся, просто с бицепсов вырезать все, и зашить. И все будет нормально, говорят.
So how important is it for you to maintain your size?
Если случится такой день, что у меня руки маленькие будут, и в плане здоровья будет все нормально, мне станет лучше, но все равно я очень буду сильно злой, у меня будут депрессии, я все равно буду думать что-то дальше, чтобы у меня тело было такое, которое мне хочется, но я думаю, если у меня получится что-то в плане продвижения, не моей деятельности на данный момент, а другой, и с этого будут идти финансы, и чтобы нормальной потом жизнью жить с женой, детьми, то у меня, думаю, депрессия пропадет, и мне все равно вообще станет, потому что сейчас мы все зависим от финансов, и мы хотим как бы развлекаться и продолжать успешно жить.
I am pushing myself so hard. Mentally, physically, I'm sacrificing a lot. I'm not seeing my family. I'm not seeing my friends. I get tired and dizzy and have to go and eat, and then I have to go and train. So I'm sacrificing so much for 20 minutes on stage. If I don't place how I want to place, I'm going to be absolutely devastated. You just worked so hard for something for so long, pushing yourself to the limits. Right now I feel just a mixed bag of emotions, like total mix. Physically, I feel right now just half dead. Like I could sleep at any second, my eyes are heavy. I have the best physique I've ever had right now, yet still when I look in the mirror, I get upset. Once I'm on stage, all I can do is stand there and show the people what I have done. If I have to come off stage again without a trophy, without a pro card, I am gonna collapse. I have no idea. I don't know. My only concern is this show. I'm not winning. I knew I wasn't going to win, but I thought I could still maybe just scrape top 3 and get a pro card. I see people getting their pro cards all over the world, and I know I could beat them, like, for sure. And then I come here, and I place 5th, and it's like, what? Yeah, that shocked me. That totally shocked me, to be fair. That's just me being bitter and a sore loser, to be honest. I'm just being a sore loser right now. But I mean, I think anyone else would be in my shoes if, you know, there was so much hype around them, and you had literally thousands upon thousands of people telling you that this is your year. I'm now questioning what the fuck was the point. I've mentally destroyed myself the past 3 months. Every single day I woke up in the morning depressed because I'm pinching 4%, 5% body fat, getting upset about it because I'm not shredded enough. What is enough? After this weekend, I have no clue. Bigorexia. I think it's pretty self-explanatory what that term means. It's a self-image problem, a body dysmorphia problem. I have it. I am not happy with my physique pretty much every day. How can I overcome this self-image problem if today I thought I looked the best I've ever looked, and I was actually happy with how I looked? For someone to say, no, you were fit. What's the plan, eh?
So what about bigorexia is it important for people to know?
Please take a deep breath. Please realize that it's a slippery slope.
There really is no end point. I've never worked with a man with muscle dysmorphia that says, I just want to be this % body fat and this weight, and then I'll be happy. Because once they reach that, they have another goal that they hit.
I think putting yourselves around friends who speak positively and are able to tell you, like, hey, that's not right. You know, you are beautiful. And it's just getting them to understand it's okay, the body that you're in.
There's a point where it's so narcissistic that you're going to get hurt and feel shallow and empty. Our brains are not designed for it. That's why men don't go to doctors. Men don't want to deal with weakness. You hurt not only yourself, but you're definitely hurting the people that you love right around you.